This will sound very strange, but in the big picture of prophetic signs by the righteous Christian God of the Bible, Puerto Rico symbolizes the 51st state. And God has used many amazing prophetic signs involving Puerto Rico and also Barack Obama to point to the precise date on which it is predicted that Barack Obama will become the 51st vice president on March 6th, 2024, after it is predicted that Vice President Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash on February 3rd, 2024. These signs include Barack Obama's visit to Puerto Rico on Trump's birthday in 2011, making Obama the first sitting president to visit Puerto Rico in literally 50 years, as well as the unconstitutional president's birth on the anniversary of the first law passed in Puerto Rico's new constitution, which regarded Puerto Rico's Constitution Day, as well as Hurricane Maria that pummeled Puerto Rico in 2017, and the emergency evacuation of 70,000 people in the middle of the night due to the threat of a dam bursting, the earthquake in Puerto Rico in 2020, the fireball that flew over the capital of Puerto Rico just days after the earthquake, and a few days after the fireball, the uproar on social media and mainstream media over a viral social media post by the Lion Man of Puerto Rico regarding the millions of dollars of supplies that were sitting in a warehouse in the city symbolized by a lion that were supposed to have been distributed 2.5 years earlier after Hurricane Maria. And this is only scratching the surface of the things that will be explained in this truly profound video. Make sure you watch all of this video, especially after this prediction comes to pass when Barack Obama becomes the 51st vice president on March 6th. The date that this video is posted proves that this prediction is being made ahead of time, as does this time-stamped email and forensic notes PDF document. If you are skeptical for some reason, please email me and I will forward these to you. All right, in this profound, amazing video, I will explain how God has been using Puerto Rico, which is American territory, as symbolism for the 51st state to symbolize the 51st vice president, Barack Obama. So it occurred to me in early December that this was the case. And it was like a Homer Simpson moment, if you will, when he goes, "Doh," when he realizes something, because I had already known for quite a long time that God had connected Barack Obama to Puerto Rico, and that God was using Puerto Rico in his signs regularly, including, just for example, everyone knows Hurricane Maria. I mean, there's a lot of details too, many details actually for the Hurricane Maria sign that connect in so many different ways, but it's more than even just Hurricane Maria. And I'll explain quite a bit of it in this video, which will be largely reading this email that I wrote back in December, explaining to some friends the epiphanies I was having and the revelations here regarding this connection between how God has used the symbolic 51st state to point to the 51st vice president, which is predicted to be that on March 6th, Barack Obama will be appointed the 51st vice president. which will prove all of the information that I am saying in this video. Okay, so that is the point here, is that I will be using all of this. God's signs will be proven to be true when this prediction comes to pass, which is that Barack Obama will be appointed the 51st Vice President and return to the White House on March 6th, 2024. Okay, so let's begin. So I wrote, it occurred to me yesterday that Puerto Rico symbolizes the number 51, as Democrats want to make Puerto Rico the 51st state. Puerto Rico is in a way, and that's the party of Barack Obama, by the way. Okay. Puerto Rico is in a way a 51st state. As such, it would make sense that God would use Puerto Rico signs to reveal the date Obama will become the 51st vice president. What I mean also, too, is that I knew long before this revelation that Barack Obama would become the 51st vice president. This is confirmation of the precise date on which he will become the 51st vice president. Given this assumption, it was recalled the prophetic sign that was Obama's visit to Puerto Rico as president. He was the first sitting president to visit Puerto Rico in literally 50 years, which hints at Leviticus chapter 25. There are, incidentally, also 50 states in America, and that is because of Leviticus chapter 25, actually. But 50 years is very prophetic in the Bible, in other words, okay? So it was literally 50 years since the last president, President Kennedy, had visited Puerto Rico as a sitting president. Obama was the unconstitutional president, right? Because he wasn't born in America. And everyone knows that it hasn't been brainwashed because of the overwhelming evidence, which the brainwashed refuse to look into or consider. Mostly because that's human nature, and psychology has it that people do not want to learn about information that contradicts their view. 90% of people are what evolutionary psychologists call soldiers, and they are interested in protecting their worldview. 10% of people are what are called scouts, and they are interested in the truth. They are interested in an accurate map more so than protecting their worldview. Anyway, I find this extremely interesting because I've been forced to get into this, learning about why it is exactly people refuse to change their mind, even when they are presented with clear, contradictory evidence that shows that their worldview isn't true. It's quite the phenomenon, and God designed it this way. Essentially, it all boils down to pride, the root of sin in the Bible, as it must for the Christian worldview to be true. Because people that refuse to look into the evidence for Christ, for example, out of their pride and protecting their worldview, and that's my point there. And that's a warning to people, in general. I'm giving you a little general warning about human psychology. And anyway, this is a good example, like, of course, like so many things are, especially these days. But Obama is, the evidence is overwhelming, but if you don't want it to be true, it won't be. Just like if you don't want Christianity to be true because you either love your sin or, more likely, you are self-righteous and don't think you are a sinner, then you won't and don't need to repent and ask for forgiveness, then you be a righteous person, then you won't want to learn about the evidence for Christ. And believe it or not, spiritually, the refusal to consider the evidence that Obama was not born in America is related. It is spiritually related, which is why the blue team and the Democrats are on the wrong side of God. Let's move on. He was born, okay, Obama was born exactly 9 years. Okay, God uses frequently 9 years connections because, well, the number 9 is the most important number in God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections, which is only being explained on this channel, as from the Bible, the number 9 symbolizes God's judgment. And that's why Obama was born exactly 9 years after Puerto Rico passed its first law under its new constitution, which was the law that established the annual holiday of Constitution Day in Puerto Rico. And that was a massive sign from God, this 9 years connection between the Constitution of the 51st state and Obama, who will become the 51st vice president and unconstitutional president. He was unconstitutional, but of course, when he returns as the vice president and then president, it will be a massive constitutional crisis. And by the way, that's why he was president. Oh, I'm about to even say that. Constitution Day in the U.S. is on 9/17, and Obama was the president from 2009 until 2017, and that's why Constitution Day is on that day, 9/17, because it again hints at the unconstitutional president and the coming constitutional crisis over Obama's coming presidency. Obama's appointment as the 51st vice president will instigate a constitutional crisis that will be decided in the Supreme Court. This is the reason why God has connected Obama to the symbolic 51st state and its constitution. Obama visited Puerto Rico on June 14th, 2011. It was Trumpet's 65th birthday. Trumpet is God's trumpet that he uses to trumpet and highlight his prophetic signs. 65 is the 23rd semi-prime number. The number 23 is Obama's number. He is the basketball president who wore jersey 23 in high school. Obama's birth, 9 years after the 51st state's first law under its constitution, and his visit to the 51st state on the 65th anniversary, which is at 23, of the birth of Trumpet, is a pairing of 9 and 23 that confirms the signs. And this is how God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections works, which is only being explained on this channel. It works on the principle of second and third and multiple witnesses confirming a matter, as the Bible says is required. And this is what makes what is being explained on this channel true and not a product of one's imagination and different and unique than everything else on the internet that claims to be an analysis of God's prophetic signs. And one simple way in which he would provide a second witness for us, if we think about it, is through pairing certain numbers, such as 9 and 23. 23 is the 9th prime number. And the reason why I know this is because I have been studying God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections from morning till night for more than full-time hours for 6 years. But among many reasons why God pairs 9 and 23, it is essentially the Antichrist becoming the president in 2009 and being the basketball president who wore jersey 23. But also the mark of the Antichrist, the inverse of it is described in Ezekiel chapter 9, and the mark of the Antichrist changes one's 23 chromosomes. Okay, on 9/11, Trump, the 45th president, called into Channel 9 News and mentioned, in other words, trumpeted, that his tower at 40 Wall Street had become the tallest in Lower Manhattan. Obama visited Puerto Rico exactly 509 weeks after 9/11, and the 45th president's conversation on Channel 9 News and the 45th president's conversation on Channel 9 News. 45 is the 9th triangular number. The number 509 hints at 5 times 9 equals 45. 509 is also the 97th prime number, and 97 is the 25th prime number, which hints at the 25th Amendment to the Constitution that will be used to appoint Obama as the 51st Vice President. Okay, so that was just more confirmation of the relevance of him visiting Puerto Rico on Trumpet's birthday. It was a significant Trumpet birthday for the reasons I just explained. God uses extreme performer Nick Wallenda in his signs. Wallenda says that his performances are his ministry for Christ, and although he hasn't said so, his walks across a wire with a balancing pole engender a cross with a man at the center. He is the 7th generation of Wallenda family of performers, and his grandfather died while walking between 2 towers in Puerto Rico. On June 4th, 2011, Nick Wallenda walked between the same towers in Puerto Rico that his grandfather did when he died. June 4th, 2011, the day that Wallenda walked across these towers in Puerto Rico, was 5 + 5 days before Obama visited Puerto Rico. The 2 towers that collapsed on 9/11 were 110 stories high, and they were struck by 2 planes. 110 divided by 2 equals 55, which is what 5 + 5 days from Wallenda's walk between 2 towers in Puerto Rico hints at. Another thing, too, is that it hints at Obama, because God is using the I-55 highway, which connects Chicago to where Kamala Harris is predicted to die in a plane crash, St. Louis, and also Little Egypt. And that symbolizes or hints at the king of Egypt, Pharaoh, which is a type in the Bible for the Antichrist. But the reason for 55 is because the most wicked king in Israel's history that presided over its most wicked period of time ruled for 55 years. And that's hinting at the Antichrist, the most wicked president. Okay? So, all right. Now, let's see. Wallenda's walk in the 51st state was exactly 598 months after the birth of Obama. 598 equals 23 times 26. 598 months is also exactly 2,600 weeks. In Hebrew gematria, the name of God, Yahweh, equals 26. If you don't know what gematria is, Roman, Greek, and Hebrew letters are also numbers, and as such, names and words can be converted into any numeric value. 2,600 weeks confirms the 26 in the equation 23 times 26 equals 598, thus leaving us with 23, the number associated with Obama. 2,600 weeks also hints at 2 times 1,300 weeks. And 213 is the 69th semi-prime number, and the number 69 is symbolic of the beginning of the Antichrist's period of rule. In the book of Exodus, it was about, quote-unquote, 3,000 souls that perished in God's judgment after their rebellion at Mount Sinai. On 9/11, it was 2,996 that perished, which is about 3,000. In other words, it hinted at the rebellion at Mount Sinai. In other words, it was a judgment. The number of people that perished was a judgment from God that pointed to the Bible. It is estimated that 2,982 souls perished in Hurricane Maria, which is also about 3,000. To confirm his signs, God pairs 9 and 44 together, and this hints at the unconstitutional 44th president, who was born exactly 9 years after Puerto Rico passed its first law under its new constitution that regarded Constitution Day. Hurricane Maria killed about 3,000 in Puerto Rico on September 20th, 2017, exactly 4 times 4 years and 9 days after about 3,000 died on 9/11. Trump is an antitype for Joshua in the Bible, who led the Israelites in a symbolic 3 sets of 7 and blew trumpets before the walls of security of Jericho collapsed in God's judgment. And by the way, antitype doesn't mean that he's the opposite of Joshua. You could just say he's a type for Joshua. You could easily say that as well. It's not the definition of antitype necessarily. Okay, so Trump is a type for Joshua in the Bible, who led the Israelites in a symbolic 3 sets of 7, and they blew trumpets before the walls of security of Jericho collapsed in God's judgment. Joshua died at the age of 110. On 9/11, Trump called into Channel 9 News and mentioned, in other words, trumpeted, that after the collapse of the 110-story Twin Towers, his tower at 40 Wall Street had become the tallest in Lower Manhattan. The collapse of the 110-story towers and trumpets call, in other words, trumpeting, on 9/11 was symbolic of Jericho in the book of Joshua when the Israelites trumpeted and the walls collapsed in God's judgment. And Joshua, who died at 110, who led them. Obama was the first president to visit Puerto Rico in 50 years, and through Obama's numbers, 4 times 4 and 9 days, 4 times 4 years and 9 days, 9/11 and 2001 connected to Hurricane Maria in the 51st state on September 20th, 2017. In turn, Hurricane Maria in the 51st state connects with exactly 337 weeks to the date it is predicted that Obama will be appointed the 51st vice president on March 6, 2024. So here we have the first astounding confirmation. And by the way, the date 36 hints at 666, which is why he will become the 51st vice president on this date. By the way, the low in the crash in the S&P 500 index was 666. That was the very very low tick on the date 36 in 2009, which is 15 years exactly to the date 36 in 2024. And 15 years is 60 plus 60 plus 60 months, which is at 666. I don't know if I mentioned that later in this video or not. I don't think so. That's why I'm going to say it now. Wow. I just realized that. Maybe I say it later and I forgot. But, okay, so let me repeat that. So the S&P 500, first of all, hints at the 500th word in Strong's Greek Concordance, which is the word in Greek that means Antichrist. The S&P 500 in the crash, just after Barack Obama became the president, at the low, made the intraday low tick at 666. It was actually a news story because of the interestingness, even to the secular world, that it hit 666 at its very bottom. Okay? And anyway, 60 plus 60 plus 60 months exactly later, Obama is predicted to become the 51st vice president. All right. Now, getting back to what I was saying. As I was saying, 9/11 is about 3 sets of 7. I'll also say that on 9/11, it was 343 firefighters that died, and 343 is 7 times 7 times 7. So anyway, we have this Joshua symbolism, in other words, in the 9/11 events. That's clear. Okay, so in 9/11, as I just explained, connects to Hurricane Maria in the 51st state. But if Hurricane Maria in the 51st state connects with 3 sets of 7 symbolism, 337 weeks exactly, to the date it is predicted that Obama will become the 51st vice president. So the big sign that pointed to 9/11 because of the number of deaths, furthermore, like I explained, because the parallel with about 3,000 deaths, okay, it connects to 9/11, which is 3 sets of 7 symbolism, but the hurricane in the 51st state also connects with 3 sets of 7 symbolism to the 51st vice president. So hopefully that's clear now. The number 337 hints at a symbolic 3 sets of 7. The Israelites enacted before the walls of security of Jericho collapsed in God's judgment. At midnight on the day of the hurricane, September 20th, 17, there was an emergency evacuation, in other words, a trumpeting, a call to evacuate, of 70,000 people from a town in Puerto Rico due to the threat of a dam collapsing. Okay, that's 9/11 symbolism there too, because it's a collapsing of a dam. This call for an evacuation was done door to door because of the power being out. This hinted at the call for an evacuation at the midnight hour that is described in Matthew chapter 25. Okay, so in chapter 25, there's a call at the midnight hour, which was when the evacuation was called for in Puerto Rico at the midnight hour. This is why when Obama visited Puerto Rico, he ordered the midnight sandwich on the menu of the famous deli sandwich in Puerto Rico. I know this because I happened to eat in the same sandwich shop when I visited Puerto Rico, long before I became aware of God's signs. Also, news articles confirm this. News articles mention that he ordered the midnight sandwich. Okay, so the midnight, in other words, is a big time connected to the prophetic sign in Puerto Rico. And Obama ordered the midnight sandwich. Okay, that's amazing. Obama was the first president to visit Puerto Rico in 50 years. Exactly 2,290 days after he ate his midnight sandwich in Puerto Rico was the emergency evacuation at midnight in Puerto Rico. Wow, I forgot that. 2,290 hints at 229, the 50th prime number, which hints at the first president to visit Puerto Rico in 50 years. That is amazing. That is so amazing. And again, the emergency evacuation in the 51st state due to the threat of the dam collapsing is 37 weeks, which hints at 3 sets of 7 before the predicted date that Obama will become the 51st vice president. Okay, let me just repeat that though. The day that Obama ordered the midnight sandwich was the 50th prime number connection to the day of the midnight evacuation in Puerto Rico. So if what I said before wasn't enough of a confirmation that Obama's midnight sandwich is connected, that connection confirms it. Because again, Obama was the 50th president, the first president to visit in 50 years, and that's extremely prophetic from Leviticus chapter 25. Okay, so I think you get it. That's amazing. The first governor of Puerto Rico was Juan Ponce de Leon. Juan Ponce de Leon also attempted the first settlement in the United States, in Florida. Puerto Rico is also U.S. territory, by the way. Leon is Spanish for lion. The symbol of Puerto Rico's second largest city, Ponce, which is named after Ponce de Leon, is the lion. And there are the parade of lions statues in the city's main square, for example. Okay? So Ponce de Leon means lion in Spanish. He tried to establish the first settlement in the U.S., but the name of the second biggest city in Puerto Rico is named after him, and the symbol of that city, which is verified, or not verified, but also is manifested with this parade of lions statues in the city's main square. The symbol of the city is lion. Okay. Bible prophecy says that the Messiah, Christ, would descend from the tribe of Judah, which is symbolized by a lion. Juan Ponce de Leon became the first governor, and God uses firsts for his signs, by the way. the first governor of Puerto Rico in 1509. Today, there is a famous man in Puerto Rico that goes by the nickname El Leon Fiscalizador, and in English, the Lion Man. That's his. I don't know what Fiscalizador means exactly, but he says to people that are to his English audience that his name is the Lion Man. Okay, so his nickname in English is the Lion Man. Okay. So the Lion Man's mission is to fight corruption and injustice in Puerto Rico. Trump was also known for calling out the government corruption in Puerto Rico. On January 18th, 2020, the Lion Man became internationally famous after the uproar, which hints at lion, on social media over his post showing the millions of dollars of supplies sitting in a warehouse that were supposed to have been distributed to the people of Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria. The Lion Man's social media post on January 18th, 2020, that exposed massive corruption and injustice in the 51st state is exactly 1,509 days before it is predicted that the Antichrist Obama will be appointed the 51st vice president. This is absolutely astounding because Ponce de Leon, which means lion, was appointed the first governor of Puerto Rico in 1509. As well, the exact 509 weeks between 9/11 and 2001 and the day that Obama visited the 51st state hints at 1509 and Juan de Ponce Leon, the lion. And the Lion Man, who's fighting injustice, who discovered in the warehouse, and did I say, I don't know if I mentioned it, but the warehouse is in Ponce de Leon. I didn't mention it. I'm almost positive that the warehouse is in Ponce de Leon. The Lion Man discovered this corruption in the warehouse in Ponce de Leon, and then it caused the uproar on social media. And you probably recall, I mean, it was definitely national media, but I'm pretty sure it was an international story as well. It was so huge. But it was a big story at the time because, he took his camera inside the warehouse. He snuck into the warehouse and was filming all of this, the millions of dollars of supplies that were just sitting there. Okay, but that warehouse was in Ponce de Leon to top it all off. And that date of the uproar in the social media post is an astounding 1,509 days before the Antichrist Obama, the injustice one, the unjust one, the corrupt one, will be appointed the 51st vice president. We were talking about the 51st state. And Ponce de Leon became the first governor in 1509. And Obama visited Puerto Rico, the first visiting president, exactly 509 weeks after 9/11. And that hints also at 1509, the year that Ponce de Leon became the first governor. Governor hints at governing and leader, and it hints at Obama becoming the president, the governor, if you will, of America. That's also why this is relevant. And furthermore, he visited as the governor of America, Puerto Rico, which is something that presidents don't do. The number 9 is the most important number in God's signs, as from the Bible it symbolizes God's judgment. Obama visited Juan Ponce de Leon's island on June 14th, 2011, exactly 9 years and 9 months, which is 117 months, before Queen Beyoncé won her record 9th Grammy Award for her song from her album, The Lion King. She also starred in the live-action remake of The Lion King with her voice. At the same awards ceremony, Queen Beyoncé also won a Grammy for a video from her music film Black is King. At the same Grammy Awards, her 9-year-old daughter, this is the same Grammy that she won her 9th Grammy, her 9-year-old daughter was the youngest person to win a Grammy. On the same day, the passing king of football and King Bacchus in the Mardi Gras parade, and the spokesman for Smoothie King, player number 9 for the New Orleans Saints, Drew Brees, announced his retirement. These 9s on 3/14/2021 confirmed the 9 years and 9 months connection from Obama's visit to Puerto Rico. And Obama was born exactly 9 years after Puerto Rico's first law under its new constitution that regards Constitution Day. The number 188 hints at H188 in Strong's Concordance, the word meaning woe, ! That is used in context of extreme judgment from God. In turn, Queen Beyoncé's 9th Grammy is 1,088 days, which hints at H188, before it is predicted that Obama will be appointed using the amendment to the Constitution as the 51st vice president. Okay, so that is amazing too. So Obama's visit to the 51st state connects profoundly, because 117 is very prophetic as well, as explained in other videos, but it connects with 9 years and 9 months to the Lion King singer's 9th Grammy and her 9-year-old daughter and the passing king and all of that. So that confirms the 9 years and 9 months. And then from that day, March 14th, 2021, it connects with 1,088 days to Obama being appointed through the amendment to the Constitution as the 51st vice president. So I'll just repeat it again. Puerto Rico is symbolized by the lion. We've established that. From his visit, Obama's visit to the 51st state, we have this connection to the Lion King signs, okay? And from that, we have the connection to him becoming the 51st vice president through the amendment to the Constitution, which is why he was born 9 years after the Constitution Day law, the first law of the new Constitution. You get that? In other words, the 9 years and 9 months also confirms the 9 years connection from Obama's birth. It's all astounding. And it's a big woe, because the 1,088 days hints at H188, the word woe. When Obama becomes the vice president again, it will be a huge woe for the nation. And furthermore, Christians, because Obama is the Antichrist, who will persecute true Christians. A Christian on the blue team or the left, today's left, a liberal, is an oxymoron. There's no such thing. All right? And that's the purpose of the end times, is to test the faith of quote-unquote Christians. And Christians that are on the blue team, they're not going to pass this test. They need to wake up. And hopefully they will. Hopefully they will, because that's the purpose of what's happening. To wake people up, to give them a shaking. Okay. The Lion Man's social media post on January 18th, 2020, was just days after the destructive 5.8 magnitude earthquake in Puerto Rico, right near Ponce, named after Ponce de Leon, lion, that occurred on January 7th, 2020. The earthquake was exactly 120 weeks after the threat of flooding in Puerto Rico from the dam collapsing on September 20th, 2017. Obama was the first president to visit Puerto Rico since Kennedy, and Obama was born exactly 120 weeks before Kennedy died. Okay, that confirms the 120 weeks from the midnight evacuation to the earthquake in Ponce de Leon, 51st state. Okay, so 120 weeks is also 840 days. And Obama was born on the date 8/4. And also the name Obama in Hebrew gematria equals 84. 120 weeks is also 2 times 2 times 30 weeks, which is at 223, which is the 48th prime number. Obama will become the 48th president after becoming the 51st vice president. The Lion Man's Post was also the day after a huge fireball flew at low altitude over the capital of Puerto Rico, which was 5 + 5 days. We already established this prophetic significance of that after the earthquake. That's why the fireball flew over the capital of Puerto Rico, right over it, low altitude, 5 + 5 days after the earthquake. And even in Puerto Rico, people were saying, what's going on? Are these end times signs from God? And the answer is yes. Like the Lion Man in Puerto Rico, Trump is known for fighting corruption and calling out injustice. Trump once said that Puerto Rico is one of the most corrupt places on earth, and Trump was known for his reluctance to send aid money to Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria. Trump is God's trumpet for his signs. In other words, Trump was trumpeting the corruption in Puerto Rico. Trump is an antitype or a type for Joshua in the Bible, who led the Israelites in a symbolic 3 sets of 7. Trump is predicted to die at the age of 77. The corrupt media mocked Trump's attempt to say, in other words, trumpet, Puerto Rico in Spanish, in a Spanish accent, at the Hispanic Heritage event at the White House on October 6th, 2017. And of course, that's what the media would do because it's not journalism anymore. It's a mouthpiece for the Democrat Party, the blue team, which the media is a part of. And their blue team is dependent because the elites in the blue team are made up of white liberals, but they depend on minorities. And so, Trump attempting to say Puerto Rico in a Spanish accent must be made fun of to try to make him look out of touch with Hispanic people. That's the point, because it's all propaganda. So Trump the corrupt, wicked, lying left media mocked Trump's attempt to say, in other words, trumpet, prophetically, Puerto Rico in a Spanish accent at the Hispanic Heritage event at the White House on October 6th, 2017. This was exactly 77 months before it is predicted that Obama will be appointed the 51st vice president on March 6th, 2024. 77 months is also 6 years and 5 months, which hints at 65. Obama visited Puerto Rico on Trump's 65th birthday, and again, 65 is the 23rd semi-prime number, and it is Obama's number, 23. And Obama's birth is connected to Puerto Rico history as well. Okay. And God has been juxtaposing Trump signs with Obama signs throughout his prophetic science. So we have the prophetic Trump birthday and Obama birthday connecting to Puerto Rico, in other words. because that's how God's signs works. The juxtaposition between Trump and Obama is designed by God. Okay, and so this connection confirms the relevance of Obama becoming the 51st vice president when Trump is 77 years old. Okay, so again, Trump is associated with symbolic 3 sets of 7 because of the story in Joshua and the blowing trumpets, and his presidency and election campaign being synonymous with his border wall of security, and in Joshua, the walls of security collapsing in God's judgment, which is why the border wall of security has collapsed in God's judgment after Trump left office, etc. Okay, and so Trump's connected to 3 sets of 7, and so anyway, the day he mentioned the 51st state's name in a Hispanic accent is exactly 77 months to the date that Obama becomes the 51st vice president. But that connection is also 6 years and 5 months, and that's also relevant because of what I just explained. Okay. Trump is a type or an antitype for Elijah. This is what a lot of people don't know. Most people know that, or a lot of people know that Trump is a type for Jehu and Cyrus in the Bible, but he's also a type for Elijah. This is what I've discovered in 1 Kings 1:18. Okay, so 1 Kings 18. And a few days after, Trump trumpeted the name Puerto Rico in a Spanish accent. Trump was in Puerto Rico to take a look at the damage from Hurricane Maria. The day he was in Puerto Rico was exactly 118 weeks, which hints at 1 Kings 18, before the earthquake near Ponce, Puerto Rico, which hints at king. Ponce de Leon, lion king. In 1 Kings 18, Elijah had destructive heavy wind and rain come on the land, which hints at Hurricane Maria. And Hurricane Maria is connected to Trump because of his reluctance to send aid, etc., because of the injustice and corruption, which is all symbolic for the injustice and corruption in America. The earthquake in Ponce de Leon was a few days before the uproar over the Lion Man's social media post on the date 118, which hints at 1 Kings 18. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned it later, but one thing about Elijah is that he dumped 4 large jars of water onto his altar 3 times. So it was a 4 and a 4 and a 4, which hints at the 44th president as well, when he challenged and called out the false prophets of Baal, which is symbolic of the Antichrist and Obama. March 6th, 2024 was learned to be pointed to with Obama 51st vice president symbolism prior to these discoveries made today in this email. So, for example, the 1509 days connection from the uproar over the Lion Man's post is absolutely amazing. In other words, it was confirmation. It wasn't how I first discovered March 6th. What I forgot to mention is that 1509 is the 440th semi-prime number. Wow. And I forgot that again when I read it earlier in the video. And this was discovered before it was learned that Ponce de Leon was appointed the first governor in 1509. Okay, so I learned of the connection even before I learned of Ponce de Leon being the first governor in 1509. So 1509, okay, so from the post of the uproar in Ponce de Leon, the warehouse was in Ponce de Leon. It is 1509 days to the day that Obama will become the 51st vice president. But 1509 is also the 440th semi-prime number, which is a number divided by only 2 other prime numbers, which God uses. And so 440 hints at the 44th president. The 440th semi-prime number hints at the 44th president. That's amazing. To confirm his signs, God pairs the numbers 9 and 44 together, and the 44th president was inaugurated in 09. God uses records for signs. From the 44th president's visit to the 51st state, it is 9 years and 9 months to Queen Beyoncé's record 9th Grammy win, and her record youngest 9-year-old daughter's Grammy win. It is known that Beyoncé is obsessed with the number 4. For example, she has an album named 4, and she named her daughter Ivy after the Roman numeral IV, which is the number which is in Roman numerals 4. And the day of her 9th Grammy Award, player number 9, who won Super Bowl 44 for the Saints, announced his retirement. From the retirement announcement of the MVP of Super Bowl 44 and Beyoncé's win, which ended at 4, because of Beyonce obsessed with 4, it is 1,088 days, which ends at whoa exclamation mark, to a whoa moment when the 44th president will be appointed the 51st vice president. So in other words, I just elaborated more details that made it more astounding to what I said earlier. Queen Beyoncé won her record 9th Grammy for a song from her album The Lion King at the 63rd Grammys. 63 is a multiple of 9, and 6 plus 3 equals 9. Her 9th win for the Lion King song was exactly 9 years and 9 months after Obama was in the territory whose founder is named Lion. Puerto Rico is the 51st state. It is known for its cocoa cultivation and chocolate. In simple English gematria, chocolate is equal to 82. The new Wonka movie is based on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and its release on December 15th, 2023 is 82 days before it is predicted that Obama will be appointed the 51st vice president. And this hints at the 51st state, known for its cocoa and cultivation and chocolate. Also, in simple English gematria, 82 is equal to this word right here, which means that you've taken the thing, the mark of the Antichrist. That's amazing. That is amazing. That is amazing too. Okay, so this is really quite clear. God has been using Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The original version is a gift from God, which I explain in the Willy Wonka video, which is one of the most important videos on this channel. So make sure you watch it. Go and search for it, find it, watch it. The Wonka video prophecy, okay? So there's a new one, though. There's a new remake or a new take on it, a new spin-off, which I'm sure is awful. I'm sure it's not any good as a movie. But in terms of God's signs, it was released 82 days. Okay? Chocolate is equal to 82. And the new Chocolate Factory movie was released 82 days before it was predicted Obama will become the 51st vice president. And that's relevant because Puerto Rico, the 51st state, is known for its chocolate. So that's amazing. And the mark of the Antichrist taking it is equal to 82. 82 hints at 8 divided by 2, or 4 plus 4. The 44th president, 4 plus 4 plus 4 jars of water on the altar that Elijah erected. Now it is known why the goat, greatest of all time, which God uses in his signs, goat signs, greatest of all time signs, to hint at the goat Antichrist. Now it is known why the goat of golf, Tiger Woods, won his record 82nd PGA tournament exactly 82 weeks before Phil Mickelson won the PGA championship at the record age of 50 on Pentecost, which literally means 50th day. On the first Pentecost, on Mount Sinai, fire came down on the mountain. And on Pentecost, that began the church age, tongues of fire came down on the 40 plus 40 plus 40 disciples waiting in the upper room. Elijah called down fire on Mount Carmel after dousing his altar and flooding the surrounding trench with 4 plus 4 plus 4 large jars of water. The altar was made of wood, and Tiger Woods won the record 80-second tournament after a prophetic flooding of water on the golf course in Japan. There's lots more to that. But the tournament was delayed a day because of the typhoon that brought this record unprecedented flooding to the golf course. And the reason is because God pointed to that golf course, the only location in the world in which a particular microbe exists that was responsible for the discovery of the compound in the wonder drug that begins with an IV and ends with an IN. That is the cure for the CVD disease. That's why God pointed to that golf course. Anyway, that's explained in other videos more. Mickelson's win connected with Michael Jackson's win. So Mickelson's win connected with Michael Jackson's win, or death, I should say, from a thing, when a thing was put inside him, which is why 82 equals having taken a thing. And that's why the 82 weeks connection from the 82nd win. Okay, so and I explained in other videos how Mickelson's win at the age of 50 on Pentecost, which means 50, connects with the number 50 to Michael Jackson dying at the age of 50, and he died because he took the thing. Okay, so that's more connection back to the compound from the microbe on that one particular golf course in Japan. The only PGA tournament to be played in Japan in the season. The golf course Woods 1 on is the only location in the world in which lives a microbe that produces the compound for what I just mentioned, okay? Which is why God pointed to the golf course with the prophetic flooding, okay? And God pointed, by the way, to the golf course of Mickelson as well when he won, because it was on the coast right next to Charleston, which is where the Great American Eclipse exited the U.S. So the significance of the location of Mickelson's golf course, prophetic significance, further confirms the prophetic significance of the golf course exactly 82 weeks earlier when the GOAT became the GOAT when he won his 82nd tournament. Woods, which hints at Elijah and the false prophets. This is why Tiger Woods' name is Woods. It hints at Elijah's altar of wood. The 8.2 magnitude, 7th strongest earthquake in U.S. history in the 7 times 7th state, the 49th state, on July 28th, 2021, was 370 days, which hints at 3 sets of 7. And the walls of security collapsed on Jericho after a 3 sets of 7 due to an earthquake. Okay, so the 8.2 magnitude earthquake in the 7th strongest state in the 7 times 7th state, which hints at 3 sets of 7, was 370 days, which hints at 3 sets of 7, before the death of the GOAT of baseball broadcasting on the date 8/2. So the 8.2 magnitude earthquake connects with the date 8/2, with this prophetic 3 sets of 7. Okay, so Vin Scully, the GOAT of baseball broadcasting of the Los Angeles Dodgers broadcasting, who had a son who died in a helicopter crash. H82, the 82nd word in Strong's Hebrew Concordance, is the word to fly. Los Angeles hints at fallen angels. It would seem that the D-Day invasion on 6/6 in 1944 and the involvement of the 82nd Airborne invasion from the sky would hint at the invasion of fallen angels, We just passed the 82nd anniversary of the Pearl Harbor invasion when war broke out on the date 12/7 in 1941 that led to D-Day and the 82nd Airborne invasion from the sky. And the reason for war breaking out on the date 12/7 is because in Revelation 12:7 it says that war broke out in heaven, and then the fallen angels, as in Los Angeles, fell to earth. Okay? And anyway, the 82nd Airborne invasion from the sky is hinting at all of this, as I'm explaining. Helicopters symbolize the dragon in Revelation chapter 12 in his signs. Helicopters symbolize this in his signs. This would be why Scully of the Los Angeles Dodgers, fallen angels, died on 8/2, 370 days after the date 8/2. Okay. I believe the deeper meaning of 57 has been revealed. For example, Obama's extremely prophetic 57 states gaffe. It was also recently discovered that the I-57 highway connects Chicago to Cairo, Illinois. The I-55 goes by Cairo, but not exactly through it, precisely. The number 57 is 19 plus 19 plus 19, an emphasis of God's perfect judgment, because 9 symbolizes judgment, 10 perfect order. But here is something profound. 3 times 19 hints at H319 and G319, the 319th word in the Hebrew and Greek concordance. H319 is the latter part, end, and G319 is to make oneself known. This interpretation is connected with Obama's 57 states gaffe being 144,000 hours before the second coming on October 12, 2024, when the Lord will make himself known at the latter part, the end. Okay? That's why exactly 144,000 hours earlier, because of that being a prophetic number in the book of Revelation, was the day of the 57 states gaffe, and 57 is 3 times 19. That's why. The 57 states gaffe is a major prophetic sign that connects to other things that also confirm this, because this is how God's true big picture of signs, patterns, connections works. It works on the principle of second and third and multiple witnesses, confirming matter as the Bible says is required, and this is what makes what's being explained on this channel true and not a product of one's imagination, and different and unique than everything else on the internet because of these second witnesses. And because it's an interconnected web, and the true intended meaning of God's prophetic signs cannot be properly understood without their context in connections to other signs, it is an interconnected web that is infinite, and when you try to explain one part of the web, you end up pulling the entire web because you need to provide the second and third witnesses. And for those things, you need to provide second and third witnesses. And for those things, you need to provide third and second witnesses. And this goes off and off into infinity. And that's why explaining God's true big picture of signs is extremely difficult. Anyway, the 57 states gaffe is very important. And it connects because of the 3 times 19 to the end and the making oneself known. Astounding. The Los Angeles Dodgers goat, helicopter, dragon, 82nd Airborne sign on the date 8/2 in 2022 connects with 627 days to April 20th, 2024, the date of the predicted beginning of the demonic alien invasion. Well, actually, no, that's not true. So I'm just going to, it's the predicted beginning of the date of the demonic, mass demonic possession. Okay, more since the writing of this, more information has come to light. The alien invasion is predicted to be on April 11th, 9 days before this date. So, anyway, it's still important though, and it still involves demons. So let's just finish the paragraph. Okay. 627 days is 11 times 57. 11 equals God's promises of blessings and curses and the execution of God's judgment. 57 equals God's perfect judgment, as I just explained. So 1157 is the 341st semi-prime number. Pi equals 314, Exodus 3:14, I am. okay, because in Exodus 3:14 that he says his name is I am to Moses, and the symbol for that is the exact same symbol for pi, which is 3.14. It seems that 11 times 3 times 19 hints at how the alien deception is part of this process of the end of the age and God making himself known. This is a stretch. I don't have another explanation for how the 8.2 and Vin Scully on 8.2 fits. This is what I'm saying is the explanation. Anyway, let's move on. That was a little bit too much to probably soak in for people as I read that. All right. Well, okay. So it's also 171% of a year, 18th triangular number. Let's move on. No, actually, this is relevant. Making this a pairing of 9 and 23. Okay, so this connection from Vin Scully, the Vin Scully sign is 627 days to the date of the predicted beginning of the mass demonic possession. This is really very relevant as well because the thing about the GOAT of baseball broadcasting is the time during a game he talked about the meaning of the acronym GOAT and explained it to his audience. The subject came up because the base runner had recently told the story of how he encountered the GOAT of basketball in a shoe store. Michael Jordan wore number 23 and number 9 for the U.S. Olympic Dream Team when they outscored their opponents by an average of 44 points. God pairs 9, 23, and 44 to confirm his signs. Vin Scully mentioned the name Michael Jordan in this broadcast as he explained the base runner's story and how he thought the acronym GOAT was neat. It was a new concept for Scully. The reason this time that Scully explained the meaning of GOAT went viral is that the internet thought it was ironic or quote-unquote cute that the GOAT of baseball broadcasting would be explaining the meaning of GOAT. But again, this explanation came through Jordan, number 23 and number 9, and Scully's Scully's death is 2 times 300 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9 days to the predicted death date of the fallen angels, which is why Scully had a son that died in a helicopter, because the helicopters in God's signs hint at the dragon and his angels that fall from heaven, and why Scully was the GOAT of broadcasting for the Los Angeles team. Okay. Oh, I just remembered that the name of Scully's son who died in a helicopter crash is Michael, and it is Michael that throws down the dragon in Revelation chapter 12. Okay, so clearly the Scully death sign is a prophetic sign, but what does it mean? How does it connect into the big picture? This is my explanation. 2 times 300 days plus 9 plus 9 plus 9 days, which gives us the pairing of 9 and 23, which confirms the signs and connections. And furthermore, he talked about Michael Jordan. And that was the big viral thing about him being the GOAT, which further confirmed that he is the GOAT, because the news talked about how he is the GOAT because of him talking about the GOAT. Okay? So I think this is all relevant, actually. Anyway, it confirms the date 420, the date it is predicted that the mass demonic possession and zombie pandemic will begin. All right, and speaking of Tiger Woods and his 82nd win being exactly 82 weeks before Mickelson's win, Tiger Woods ended his contract with Nike sponsorship on the date January 8th, 2024, which is 8 weeks and 2 days before Obama is predicted to become the 51st vice president. And again, 82 equals chocolate, and Puerto Rico, the 51st state, is known for chocolate. This is another, and Vin Scully died on the date 8/2. All right, this is just more confirmation of everything. And again, 82 equals someone who has taken a thing. And the reason why it's Nike is because it hints at the Nicolaitan doctrine of our day, which Jesus said he hates and is coming to make war with the sword of his mouth on those that teach and have the works that are a product of this doctrine. So someone has this doctrine. And it's not a vague thing, because God has clearly identified precisely what the Nicolaitan doctrine of our day is. It isn't some sort of vague thing. And this is explained in the most important video on this channel, the 23 church signs video. Especially if you're a Christian, watch this video, the 23 church signs video. Oh, and the sponsorship of Woods's lasted for 27 years, which hints at 9 plus 9 plus 9, which is an emphasis of the symbolic meaning of the number 9, which means judgment, the most important number in God's signs, which is why the sponsorship went for 20 years. Judgment on the American church, the evangelical church's Nicolaitan doctrine, once saved, always saved, and free grace and sovereign grace. Calvinism, dispensationalism, all quote-unquote Christians will be raptured. Our righteousness is as filthy rags, one verse that Luther took out of context to support his entire heretical doctrine, and on and on. Okay, so 8 weeks and 2 days is amazing because of the connection of 82 to the 51st state and Obama, the 51st vice president. Aliens and UFOs are demons masquerading as aliens and UFOs. Most people's spiritual experiences are demonic deception, especially if they are not a true follower of Christ. God became a man and died a horrible death at the hand of the ruler of this world, Satan, and then defeated death for you, so that you too can overcome death, which is the price that must be paid for sin. It is time to repent, which means to change one's ways and turn to God and become a disciple of Jesus. Please leave a like and upvote the video. And once this prediction has come to pass, share this video with everyone you know, and more. Don't stop sharing it everywhere in social media. It is essential that everyone immediately read the homepage of my website, TrumpPrediction.com. If you are watching this on the YouTube platform, please note that not all of the videos are on YouTube. You need to switch to the BitChute.com or the Odyssey.com channel. And do it now in case you aren't able to later.